What if science could bring back the giants of the past, the beasts that once ruled the skies, seas, and land? From snakes longer than buses to birds taller than men, the world was once home to creatures that sound almost too wild to be real. Today, scientists are uncovering ancient DNA, studying fossils, and even experimenting with genetic editing that could make de-extinction possible. Imagine walking beside a dire wolf, spotting a moa in the forest, or seeing a Titanoboa slither by. Let's explore incredible extinct animals scientists are actually considering bringing back. Dire wolf. The dire wolf wasn't just a creature of legend, it was one of the most formidable predators of the Ice Age. Larger and stockier than modern wolves, it hunted in packs, bringing down giant prey like bison and ancient horses. For centuries, scientists only had fossils and tar pit remains to study, believing the species had been gone forever for more than 10,000 years. But in 2024, researchers at Colossal Biosciences made headlines with a groundbreaking announcement. The birth of 3 pups they described as revived dire wolves, Romulus, Remus, and Khaleesi. Instead of cloning original dire wolf DNA, which was far too degraded, the team used grey wolf DNA as a base. They pinpointed 14 key genes tied to dire wolf traits, such as larger size, broader skulls, stronger shoulders, and massive teeth. Using advanced gene editing, they modified grey wolf embryos to carry these traits and implanted them into domestic dog surrogates. Romulus and Remus were born on October 1st, 2024, and Khaleesi followed on January 30th, 2025. Today, the trio lives in a secure 2,000-acre preserve, closely monitored by veterinarians and ecologists. While they don't carry pure dire wolf DNA, their engineered features make them strikingly similar, an echo of the Ice Age predator brought back through science. For the first time, humanity is face-to-face with a living shadow of the dire wolf's legacy. Woolly mammoth. Few extinct animals fire the imagination quite like the woolly mammoth. Standing up to 13 feet tall with massive curved tusks and a thick coat of shaggy hair, these giants once trudged across the frozen tundra of Europe, Asia, and North America. They lived side by side with early humans, who hunted them for food, hides, and bones. Sadly, mammoths disappeared around 4,000 years ago, likely due to a mix of climate change and human hunting. Today, scientists believe the woolly mammoth is one of the most likely candidates for de-extinction. At the forefront is Colossal Biosciences, the same company working on dire wolves. Instead of cloning, researchers are using the DNA of Asian elephants, the mammoth's closest living relatives. By editing genes linked to cold adaptation, such as thick hair, layers of fat, and smaller ears, they hope to create hybrid elephants with mammoth-like traits. These mammoth elephants could survive in Arctic conditions and even help restore grassland ecosystems by knocking down trees and fertilizing soil. Irish elk. Imagine walking into a forest and seeing a deer so massive its antlers could stretch across your living room. That was the Irish elk, one of the largest deer species that ever lived. Standing taller than a man and weighing more than a horse, this Ice Age giant once roamed across Europe and Asia. Despite its name, it wasn't limited to Ireland, and it wasn't a true elk either. It was a unique deer that went extinct about 7,000 years ago, possibly due to changing climates or human hunting pressure. What makes the Irish elk especially fascinating today is that scientists are working on ways to bring it back. Researchers are studying preserved bones and extracting fragments of DNA to piece together its genetic code. The hope is to use advanced gene editing technology alongside modern deer species to reintroduce traits like its towering antlers and massive frame. Projects like Revive and Restore are actively exploring these possibilities, believing the Irish elk could walk Earth again in some form. If successful, we may one day see this antlered giant grazing in open meadows, a breathtaking glimpse of Ice Age majesty brought back to life. Short-faced bear. Now picture a bear so huge it could tower over a basketball hoop when standing on its hind legs. That was the short-faced bear, one of the largest bears to ever walk the earth. Unlike modern grizzlies, it had long, lean legs built for speed and a shorter snout, giving it a nightmarish look. This Ice Age predator roamed across North America and could weigh more than a small car, making it an apex hunter of its time. The short-faced bear vanished around 11,000 years ago, likely when many of its prey species disappeared during climate shifts. But scientists are now exploring ways to bring this beast back. Using advanced DNA technology, researchers are recovering genetic material from fossils and comparing it with the genome of its closest living relative, the spectacled bear. By filling in the missing gaps, they hope to reconstruct enough of its genetic blueprint to engineer a modern version of this ancient predator. If they succeed, the short-faced bear could once again stalk the forests and plains of North America, a thrilling but daunting prospect. Ground sloth. Forget the slow, tree-hugging sloths we know today. Imagine their ancient cousins, the giant ground sloths, towering over early humans and weighing as much as a truck. These enormous herbivores once roamed across the Americas during the Ice Age, lumbering through forests and grasslands. With massive claws and a steady appetite for leaves and branches, they played a key role in shaping ecosystems by spreading seeds and trimming vegetation. But about 10,000 years ago, the ground sloth disappeared. Climate change likely reduced its food supply, and human hunters may have delivered the final blow. For centuries, it has remained only in fossils and ancient cave paintings. Now, scientists are eyeing the possibility of bringing it back. Researchers have discovered surprisingly well-preserved DNA in ground sloth fossils and even ancient tufts of fur in South America. By editing the genomes of modern sloths, scientists hope to reawaken some of the traits that made their ancestors giants. If successful, giant ground sloths could once again roam tropical forests, reshaping habitats as they did thousands of years ago. Saber-tooth tiger. The saber-tooth tiger, or more accurately Smilodon, was one of the most iconic predators of the Ice Age. Bigger and bulkier than a modern lion, it carried two massive fangs up to a foot long that curved like deadly knives from its jaws. With powerful forelimbs and a muscular build, Smilodon could wrestle prey to the ground before delivering a killing bite. For thousands of years, it dominated the grasslands and forests of the Americas. But around 10,000 years ago, this apex predator vanished. As the climate warmed, the large animals it hunted, like bison and camels, died out, leaving the saber-tooth with little to eat. Human competition may have worsened its fate. Today, its fossils, including hundreds preserved in the sticky tar pits of La Brea, still capture imaginations worldwide. Now, with advances in genetics, scientists are considering the unthinkable, bringing Smilodon back. DNA extracted from fossils could be combined with the genome of modern big cats, such as clouded leopards, to recreate its fearsome traits. Those iconic saber-like teeth may one day return in living form. If successful, humanity could once again share the planet with one of prehistory's most legendary predators. Smooth handfish. The smooth handfish is one of the most unusual extinctions in recent memory. Unlike most species lost thousands of years ago, this quirky little fish was declared extinct only in 2020, making it the first modern marine fish officially lost to history. About the size of a human hand, it had fleshy, finger-like fins that allowed it to walk across the sea floor near Tasmania, rather than swim like most fish. Sadly, habitat destruction, bottom trawling, and overfishing wiped out the smooth handfish before most people even knew it existed. Its strange way of moving and its role in marine ecosystems disappeared with it. But scientists aren't giving up on this oddball of the ocean. In fact, revival might be more possible than expected. Perfectly preserved specimens exist in museums, including one collected as far back as 1802. These still contain usable DNA, which researchers hope to sequence and edit. The idea is to use related species like the red handfish or spotted handfish as genetic templates, editing their DNA to restore the smooth handfish's unique traits. Baiji dolphin. The Baiji, often called the Yangtze River dolphin, was once worshipped in Chinese legends as a goddess of the river. Sleek, pale, and graceful, it glided through the waters of the Yangtze for millions of years. But by 2006, centuries of human activity, pollution, dam building, overfishing, and boat traffic pushed this remarkable creature to functional extinction. It was the first dolphin species ever lost entirely due to humans. Yet, there may still be hope for a comeback. Scientists preserved genetic material from Baiji specimens, including tissue samples and even cheek swabs, before the last individuals vanished. With today's rapid advances in gene editing technology, researchers are exploring ways to modify the DNA of the Baiji's closest living relative, the Indus River dolphin, to reintroduce its lost traits. But reviving the Baiji won't just be a laboratory challenge. Even if embryos are created, surrogate mothers must be found, and the Yangtze itself would need to be safe again for reintroduction. Thankfully, China has launched major cleanup efforts in the river, raising the possibility that one day this freshwater dolphin could swim again. Bringing the Baiji back would symbolize not just science's power, but also humanity's chance at redemption. Quagga. The quagga was one of the strangest animals ever to roam Africa, a zebra that looked only half-striped. Its front half carried the bold black and white stripes of a zebra, while the back half faded into a plain brown, resembling a horse. This unique appearance made the quagga instantly recognizable, but sadly, it was also its downfall. By the late 1800s, relentless hunting wiped the species out, and the last known quagga died in a zoo in 1883. For more than a century, the quagga lived only in old illustrations and taxidermy displays. But in recent years, an ambitious project has aimed to bring it back. Known as the Quagga Project, researchers in South Africa are using selective breeding with plain zebras, the quagga's closest relatives. By carefully choosing zebras with fewer stripes and darker coats, they've managed to breed animals that increasingly resemble the extinct quagga. While this isn't true de-extinction, since no original quagga DNA is being restored, it does create living animals that look and behave strikingly similar. Already, some herds in South Africa show the quagga's iconic half-striped pattern. Tyrannosaurus rex. The Tyrannosaurus rex needs no introduction. It was the king of the dinosaurs. Standing up to 40 feet long with bone-crushing jaws, dagger-like teeth, and powerful legs, it ruled the late Cretaceous around 65 million years ago. When a massive asteroid struck Earth, the T-Rex, along with all other non-avian dinosaurs, vanished in the mass extinction event. Yet today, scientists are exploring astonishing ways to bring this apex predator back, at least in some form. Instead of cloning, which is impossible with DNA degraded over millions of years, researchers are looking to birds, the T-Rex's closest living relatives. Chickens, for example, share surprising amounts of DNA with dinosaurs. Experiments have already shown that dormant genetic traits can be switched on, producing bird embryos with features like teeth or longer reptile-like tails. Some scientists suggest a step-by-step reverse engineering approach, slowly modifying bird DNA over generations until something resembling a dinosaur emerges. It wouldn't be a perfect T-Rex, but rather a Chickenosaurus, a bird with ancient dinosaur traits such as teeth, clawed arms, and powerful legs. While a true T-Rex may never roar again, the science behind reviving dinosaur-like creatures is advancing faster than anyone imagined. Dodo bird. The dodo is perhaps the most famous extinct animal of all time. This large, flightless bird once lived on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. Standing about 3 feet tall, it had a plump body, a big hooked beak, and small, useless wings. Because it evolved with no natural predators, the dodo was fearless around humans, a trait that sealed its fate. When sailors arrived in the 1600s, they hunted dodos for food and introduced animals like pigs and rats that raided nests. Within less than a century, the dodo was gone forever, disappearing by the late 1600s. Its extinction became a global symbol of how quickly human actions can wipe out a species. But the story may not end there. In recent years, scientists have been making real progress toward bringing the dodo back. Colossal Biosciences, a company focused on de-extinction, has announced plans to revive the bird using DNA extracted from well-preserved dodo remains. By editing the DNA of its closest living relative, the Nicobar pigeon, researchers hope to recreate the genetic traits that made the dodo unique. Elephant bird. The elephant bird of Madagascar was one of the most extraordinary birds to ever live. Standing up to 10 feet tall and weighing nearly half a ton, it was the heaviest bird in history. Despite its size, it was a gentle giant, feeding mostly on fruits and plants. Its massive eggs, larger than any other bird's, could be over a foot long and held as much food as 24 chicken eggs. Sadly, this giant vanished only a few hundred years ago. When humans settled Madagascar, they hunted elephant birds for their meat and collected their enormous eggs. Deforestation and habitat loss sealed their fate, and by the 17th century, the species was gone. But scientists now believe these giants could walk the Earth again. DNA extracted from well-preserved eggshells and bones is being studied, and researchers hope to combine it with the genetic material of their closest living relatives, the ostriches and emus. With advanced gene editing tools like CRISPR, it may one day be possible to engineer an elephant bird embryo and raise it inside a surrogate. Haast's eagle. Once soaring over New Zealand, the Haast's eagle was the largest eagle the world has ever known. With a wingspan stretching up to 10 feet and talons as large as tiger claws, it was a predator unlike any other. This eagle wasn't chasing rabbits or fish, it hunted the mighty moa, a flightless bird that could grow over 12 feet tall. The Haast's eagle would dive at speeds over 50 miles per hour, striking with crushing force strong enough to kill prey several times its size. For centuries, it ruled New Zealand's skies. But when humans arrived, everything changed. People hunted the moa to extinction, and without its main food source, the Haast's eagle soon vanished as well, disappearing roughly 500 to 600 years ago. Today, scientists are studying ancient DNA from eagle bones and comparing it to the bird's closest living relative, the much smaller little eagle of Australia. With the help of genetic engineering, some researchers believe it may one day be possible to recreate a bird with similar features and behaviors. The idea of seeing a predator as fierce as the Haast's eagle flying once more is both thrilling and terrifying. Moa bird. The moa was one of the most extraordinary flightless birds to ever exist. Native to New Zealand, these giants came in several species, with the largest towering up to 12 feet tall and weighing over 500 pounds. Unlike ostriches or emus, moas had no wings at all, not even tiny ones. Despite their size, they were peaceful plant eaters, roaming forests and grasslands in massive herds. For centuries, they thrived without predators, until humans arrived. The first Polynesian settlers, the Maori, hunted moas for meat and used their bones for tools and weapons. Within just a few hundred years, every species of moa was wiped out, disappearing around the year 1400. It remains one of the most striking examples of rapid human-driven extinction. Now, scientists are attempting to bring these giants back. By extracting DNA from ancient moa bones and comparing it with their closest living relatives, the emu and ostrich, researchers hope to use CRISPR gene editing to engineer moa-like embryos. The dream is to grow them inside surrogate emus and eventually reintroduce them into New Zealand's wild landscapes. Steller's sea cow. The Steller's sea cow may one day return to the oceans thanks to advances in genetic science. Researchers have already decoded its full genome from preserved bones, which reveal details about its biology and unique adaptations to cold northern waters. Since the Steller's sea cow's closest living relative is the dugong, scientists suggest using the dugong's DNA as a starting point. By applying precise gene editing techniques, dugong cells could be modified to carry traits of the extinct sea cow, such as its enormous size and thick protective skin. These edited cells could then be used to create embryos through cloning methods or advanced reproductive technologies. Because no natural surrogates exist that could carry such a large marine mammal, artificial wombs or highly controlled aquatic incubation systems may be needed in the future. While still a long way off, this combination of genetics and biotechnology outlines a possible path to reviving this lost ocean giant. Titanoboa. The Titanoboa was the largest snake ever known, slithering through the swamps of South America about 60 million years ago. This prehistoric serpent could grow nearly 50 feet long and weigh over a ton, making it longer than a school bus and heavier than a small car. It lived in hot, humid jungles after the dinosaurs disappeared, feeding on giant turtles, crocodile-like reptiles, and anything else unfortunate enough to cross its path. When it comes to bringing the Titanoboa back, the idea is both exciting and extremely challenging. Unlike recently extinct animals, no usable DNA has survived from a creature this ancient, which makes cloning impossible. However, scientists speculate that through synthetic biology and genome engineering, traits of the Titanoboa could be reconstructed using its closest living relatives, such as anacondas and boas. By identifying and editing the genes responsible for extreme size, researchers could theoretically engineer snakes that resemble the Titanoboa. Another possibility is selective breeding of giant snakes to slowly recreate Titanoboa-like features. Though the technology is still far from achieving this, the discovery of Titanoboa fossils has already provided the genetic clues and environmental context needed for scientists to imagine one day reviving this monstrous serpent. Siberian unicorn. The Siberian unicorn, also known as Elasmotherium sibiricum, was a massive prehistoric rhinoceros that roamed the grasslands of Eurasia. Unlike modern rhinos, it carried a single enormous horn on its forehead that may have reached up to 3 feet long, giving rise to the legend of unicorns. This giant beast stood over 6 feet tall at the shoulders and weighed as much as 4 tons, making it one of the largest rhino species to have ever lived. Despite its mythical nickname, it was a real animal, surviving until about 39,000 years ago, overlapping with early humans. The possibility of reviving the Siberian unicorn comes from recent discoveries of well-preserved bones and remains in Siberian permafrost, which still contain fragments of genetic material. With advances in ancient DNA sequencing, scientists could potentially reconstruct its genome and compare it with that of modern rhinos, its closest relatives. Using gene editing techniques like CRISPR, researchers might insert key Siberian unicorn traits, such as its size and horn structure, into living rhino embryos. These embryos could then be carried by modern rhino surrogates, offering a path to bring this Ice Age giant back. While still theoretical, the survival of genetic material in frozen remains makes the Siberian unicorn one of the more plausible candidates for future de-extinction. That is it for today. Which one of these incredible prehistoric animals would you want to see revived? Let us know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel. We'll be back with more amazing content soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.